the Creation Entertainment Podcast. I'm Kit Bowen, and we've got a great show for you today. First up, our co-CEO Adam Malin and myself discuss the original 1953 Invaders from Mars and the influence of the movie and its director William Cameron Menzies, which actually inspired the 1986 take by director Tobe Hooper. Then co-founders Gary Berman and Adam take a look back with a slideshow of memories from Creation's nearly 55-year history. Wow. It's been a long time, but they have put out some wonderful, wonderful entertainment for us all. So definitely check it out. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff below. Let us know and stay tuned for more. Take care.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Creation Entertainment Pop Culture Cinema Squad. I'm Adam Malin, joined as always by my illustrious co-host, Miss Kit Bowen.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Kit. Okay, and Kit, today we have a very special segment. We're going to be doing a compare and contrast of a wonderful sci-fi property called Invaders from Mars. Now, I grew up to the original film, but evidently you weren't familiar with this property until pretty recently.
Correct. Yes. And I think this is something that's very near and dear to your heart. So I'm excited to hear your opinions about it.
Well, I think that there's a generation of oldsters like me that grew up with the original film and were probably terrified by it, especially when we were kids. And then a middle generation that saw the remake by Tobe Hooper and may or may not have liked that. I mean, I think it's a pretty novel film. And then a newer generation that might not be familiar with the property at all. So this will be hopefully a reminiscence for some of you and an education for others of you. Let me just kind of, if I may, sort of set up the plot of Invaders from Mars. It involves a young boy, David McLean, who witnesses a UFO landing in the backyard behind his home. And he discovers that aliens are taking over the townspeople, including his parents, which is pretty shocking. And he tries to alert the authorities, but unfortunately, they don't believe him until, thankfully, the military finally intervenes. Now, the original version by the great William Cameron Menzies, which is the one that I revere and which we'll be talking mostly about, from 1953, it focuses on fear, paranoia, invasion. It kind of reflects Cold War anxieties about communism and the loss of
Always.
autonomy.
Yeah.
And those are amazing metaphors to put into this science fiction context. Tobe Hooper's 1986 version kind of recreates superficially the same storyline, but it's a more action-oriented, special effects heavy approach, which is more kind of adventure than allegory. The remake also adds humor and self-awareness and is definitely, I think, a loving, if somewhat misguided homage. The original is very earnest and dreamlike and deals deeply in metaphors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just frame the two, Kit. The 53 version, kind of a McCarthy era.
Yeah. I mean,
Era.
it definitely comes at a time when, yeah, there was a lot of fear about communism, about the red wave or whatever coming through. And so this sort of uh taps into that, but it also kind of explores how little we knew about, outer space basically and the other planets and is there life on these other planets? So it kind of takes a lot from that. I thought the original, the 1953, was very sort of kind of advanced for its time as far as the science,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
1953 actually also kind of gets ahead of most of the sci-fi alien UFO trend. Sort of
This is
gets in front of
before Invasions of the Body Snatchers, which I felt it was, you know, similar
it.
to as far
Yeah.
as having,
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, before Forbidden Planet, I believe before This Island Earth, although I think that Day the Earth Stood Still predates both of them.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I do love in the original that David's the disbelief of what he's saying by adults kind of symbolizes this loss of trust and authority, and that there's a kind of a dreamlike or nightmare-like state to the whole work, which is versus the Toby Hooper remake, which really plays it more playfully and literally.
Cheesy, a little cheesier, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the 53 production, for those of you that haven't seen it, go out and see it. It's really amazing. It is stylized, almost surreal production design by one of the great film directors and production designers, William Cameron Menzies, who cut his teeth decades earlier, and we'll talk a bit about him. But these long corridors, eerie lighting, minimalist sets
Yeah,
creates this dreamlike quality, somewhat like some of the German Bauhaus and industrial film styles of the mid 20th century.
yeah,
And there were simple special effects that are still effective with lots of matte paintings and some practical effects. I know
yeah.
we were talking about it, but there are aliens in the original that are kind of doofy looking and sort of take a little bit away from the suspension of disbelief, although kind of the rest of it you can buy into pretty darn good, if not for those silly looking aliens. Um, the 86 version, on the hand, features modern for its time creature effects by the late, great, and I do mean great, Stan Winston, our beloved Stan, who was a fixture at many of our Creation and Fangoria shows, and of course has dazzled the world with creatures from Jurassic Park, Terminator, and many other productions. Created some interesting creatures and the Supreme Martian Intelligence, but the Toby Hooper version kind of loses the eerie minimalism of the
Yes.
original.
Yeah. So the original, I mean, it's funny because, if you watch it like I did for the first time, it does give that sort of B sci-fi film of, feeling at first. And the dialogue's stilted, the people are all, very stilted. But the more I hear you talk about it, the more I start thinking about it. And you're right, it's ahead of its time, I mean, if you get past the silliness of some of the dialogue and whatnot and kind of just zone in on the production value and also what it's trying to say and some of these characters in the film, the two main characters who have to help this little boy. So
Sympathetic doctors.
yes, and but certainly the character Dr. Kelston, he's the one who kind of explains, he gives us the sort of lowdown on what they think about what could happen, what other planets might have, life on and for the because it's Mars specific, they're saying, yeah, life on the surface of Mars may not be inhabitable, but if you live underground, maybe you can have a whole uh
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that the original is more of an allegory. It's a Cold War paranoid study, but there are a lot of interesting facts between the two films. One of which is that the young man that played David in the original film, Jimmy Hunt, appears in a cameo role as the police chief. Some of you might not know in the '86 remake. And I mean, David in the original, he's sort of wide-eyed and innocent, and the tone of the film is very serious and suspenseful. But David in the '86 version is kind of more outspoken, resourceful, and it kind of feels more like an '80s adventure film, like E.T.,
or Goonies or
Goonies,
yeah.
yeah, something more like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I
one
also kind of like in the original, David's father is a scientist of some kind working for some sort of super secret project or something. And I guess they sort of allude to that a lot in it. But I love how at the very beginning, David is very inquisitive and he loves looking at the stars. And so he's very, he's of like-minded of his dad. And his dad's very
yeah.
like, oh, it's my
But
boy.
I think it's pretty terrifying how the parents are
Yes.
taken over by the aliens, and this idea that your parents can become adversaries to you and become hostile and not even really know you. I think
Yeah.
it goes to a very, very deep-rooted paranoia that we have as kids.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah. Poor
Love
David.
the ending of the film. It ends ambiguously. David wakes up as if the whole
Thing was a
process of the
dream.
film has been a dream, but then he watches the UFO landing again, which creates this loop of fear or sort of a prophet, or that the dream was a prophetic vision. But I think the remake sort of, it does end with that same riff, but seems more playful and self-referential and less haunting than the film's sort of existential dread.
Right. How old were you when you first saw it?
Well, I'm going to guess I was maybe about 10.
Now, did it freak you out?
Yeah, it freaked me out. Well, because in the movie they take us over by putting
Right.
a thing in the back of our necks, which is whenever there's something in the back of your neck, it's terrifying. Just like the Invaders TV series, they get that thing and they put it in the back of your neck, and then you die of a cerebral hemorrhage.
Yes.
So the back of the neck thing is always going to scare you. And I mean, it's again, I think the idea that your parents can turn against you, authority figures don't believe you, and that the whole world can kind of become like a drone society. It feeds into this whole communist loss of self-identity state. It's pretty incredible. Anyway, I did want to mention before we got any deeper that I had the honor of visiting the set of the remake of Invaders from Mars, the 1986 version, in 1985. And this is before Creation moved out in 92 to California. We were still based in New York. And I was invited by the unit publicist, Scott Holton, to visit the production, which was in Long Beach in a giant hangar, airplane hangar, where Howard Hughes had assembled and stored the Spruce Goose. And Toby Hooper had assembled these incredible sets, these interlocking sets of the alien mothership that were really impressive. And right in the middle of all of it was this incredible Stan Winston alien, supreme alien intelligence animatronic that was sitting there and looked pretty intimidating. It's a beautiful piece of work by Stan, but I think that the original supreme intelligence alien, which is sort of this alien figure in a glass globe is really really it's pretty
Freaky.
cool as well. Yeah, yeah.
It's freaky. So
Um,
you've met Stan Winston, and yes?
Stan, yeah, Stan, of course, was like I say, a frequent celebrity guest at both Creation and Fangoria events that we did for many years. And then I had a wonderful experience on we ran the Terminator 2 convention with Jim Cameron and Winston and Arnold Schwarzenegger in whatever year that was. So then a couple of years later, we got the word that they're working on Terminator 3, and I was invited down to a airplane hangar just south of LA, where old airplane hangars for the aerospace industry are still located, even though it kind of a lot of them were sort of abandoned.
Uh-huh.
And we were told that we were going to have a special visit from Stan Winston. So we're in the hangar, and all of a sudden, the big doors of the hangar on the other side open up, and a DeLorean drives in.
Oh my God.
And the DeLorean pulls right up to us. The gull wing door opens up, and out walks Stan Winston. It says, "Hi, everybody. I want to get you excited about Terminator 3, which is now in production. And I want to introduce you to a friend of mine." So Stan's got this like control pack with him, and he's like pressing some buttons on it. All of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see this big canvas tarp covering something that's huge start to rise.
Oh my God.
And the next thing I know, Stan goes over to it. He pulls the tarp off, and it's the Terminator tank robot from Terminator 3, which, if you remember, was like a Terminator with giant Gatling guns that on like tank treads.
Yes.
And the Gatling guns articulate out and then they start spinning around. So Stan had all this doing with us. We thought the Terminator was gonna shoot us with the Gatling gun. It freaked us out.
That is amazing that you saw
Um,
that.
I mean, Stan Winston was one of the industry greats. So obviously very grateful to have met him. And he certainly did do some incredible work on the remake. And I think it was a loving homage, particularly to the alien intelligence, but his aliens were completely different. As I mentioned, the aliens from the original, as you saw,
Right.
I'm sure this was a put off for you, kid.
Well, like I said, it's you watch the movie and knowing all the movies how movies are today kind of thing. When you watch an old film like that, you really have to take yourself out of the Um,
You have to suspend your disbelief.
but you have to just sort of think about the time that it was made. That's what you
Yeah.
really need to focus on, not the
Yeah.
fact that it might seem cheesy, it might seem, like I said, stilted and all that kind of stuff. You need to just realize, wow, this was made in 1953. This is
Yeah.
pretty amazing for what it is, right?
Well,
That's how I.
again, Menzies had such an amazing production design background, and he's like the Ken Adam of the first half of the 20th century. I mean, I'm a huge Ken Adam devotee, the guy that did all the production design and set works for the early Bond films.
Right.
So, who himself was a student of some of the great architects of mid-century, like John Lautner and Richard Neutra.
Yeah.
But the look of the film is amazing, and I think that Toby, and Stan were very well intentioned. They wanted to do homages of this. For instance, behind David's house was this sand pit, and this is where the flying saucer
That was pretty creepy.
buries itself in this sand pit. And then the way that they get you is if you're walking through this area, the sand pit opens up and sucks you in. Um, so the sand pit looks almost the same in the remake as it does in the original. And also they did these long surreal corridors inside the alien ship, which kind of mimics the original tunnels from the original film.
Right.
But these are all, I think, a tribute to William Cameron Menzies' very distinctive stylized production design.
Yeah, and it's funny if you read a little bit about the film and the making of the film, the apparently it happened pretty quickly. They wanted to get it out, so it was a very sort of shortened production, and
Yeah,
they used all kinds of what we would consider as normal things to make, like inflated balloons were pinned on the tunnel walls, and you know,
yeah,
just uh, just all of this. But I think what you were saying about Menzies' sort of aesthetics is this, dreamlike surrealism. So like when poor David runs into the police department
what
and
a great look.
very, yeah, very
Oh, yeah,
normal. And then just the
intimidating.
desk with the police guy there. Yeah, so it was very intimidating. I have to say the actor who played David was very good. I mean,
David McLean.
yeah,
The central alien and antagonist is the Supreme Martian Intelligence.
right.
He controls a race of drones, and when they suck you down into the saucer, the drones get you and they strap you down, and then there's this device that embeds an alien controller in the back of your neck,
Yep.
all being witnessed by the Supreme Martian Intelligence. Now, in the original, the Martian Intelligence is basically they took a guy and put him in like a big bulbous head makeup with some tentacles and put him in a glass globe. And I mean, it's when
It's
you're a kid, it's pretty scary.
very terrifying. I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty
honestly,
scary.
again, that's another thing. I sort of thought of myself as being a kid watching this,
Yeah,
and
no,
I'd
it's
be
pretty
terrified.
scary looking. But I know Stan Winston very in a very well-intentioned manner decided to create a supreme Martian intelligence, which he's a bit more of a horizontal aspect, is a bit more squatting,
Mhm.
ugly looking brain thing, and added some
Right.
tentacles to it with animatronics, which were pretty cool. But again, I just was just as enamored by the original design. Now, one thing that I liked is that David's mother in the '86 version is played by Karen
And
Black,
black. Yep.
and David is portrayed by her real life son, Hunter Carson. So that's a very interesting kind of Easter egg from the film.
Yeah.
A lot of our viewers are familiar with director Toby Hooper of Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he was definitely trying to go with retro sound effects and a more saturated color palette, reminiscent of 50s cinema. But I don't think that he really was quite able to capture the look and the feel of the original, even though he was going for this drive-in movie nostalgia vibe, which I think
Right.
is true. I mean, it is a love letter to the original film, but it doesn't quite get the gestalt of the original.
You're right. I mean, if we are comparing it, it is a little, like I said, a little like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And then, that 1956 film, of course, also taps into the same kind of ideas that we have, except for now these pod things basically recreate your entire person. And so you die as a person and then you become this pod people, right?
Yeah.
But that remake in 1978, which I'm sure we'll bring up as well at some point in time when we talk more about all these movies we love, um, that one was even creepier than the original, I thought.
Yes, yes. It's a great film. We're going to be doing a segment on Body Snatchers of Cinema Squad in the weeks to come, so everybody be watching for that. We actually had the actor of the original, Kevin McCarthy, we had as a guest at some of our early shows, and he was wonderful. Um, in the remake, David's teacher, Mrs. McKelch, was played by the great Louise Fletcher, who we love from, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and other films. She plays this oppressive authority figure, which is sort of
Which
like
she
her.
does very well.
Yeah, and she's also in Deep Space Nine as the Kai. She's definitely got that vibe. And I think it's pretty hysterical in the remake that she swallows a frog in front of David.
Yeah,
That's a fun scene.
yeah.
One of the signatures of the original is when you get sucked down into the salt pit, there is these otherworldly chorus of voices. We're going to talk about it,
All
but
right.
it's a terrifying sound. For you musicologists, I'm going to deconstruct that. But the soundtrack of the original is just incredible. And this atonal vocal choir that accompanies the being caught by the sandpit, it's really very terrifying.
Yeah. And they hear it before they get sucked down, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, as I mentioned, the remake is definitely an homage. There is a special thanks to William Cameron Menzies at the end of the film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look to see some of the things that are kind of going on in the movie that are a little bit different. The look of the alien ship is definitely more complicated in the remake.
Well, I
It's,
mean, you got to think about also in 86, they had more technology available to them to do special effects. So
yeah,
things are gonna, look a little more real than than
right.
usual.
And I
But
think a
then you
lot
compare
more,
that 1986 to something now, it's
yeah.
always
I mean, there are a lot of
it's
matte
great.
paintings that are just sort of used to evoke the idea of
Yeah.
sets and perspective. Since I was talking about the vocal choir, I'm going to mention that the film's composer, it's credited by a guy named Raoul Kraushar, but a lot of its eerie avant-garde texture came from the orchestrator Morton Gould, and
Mm,
he also orchestrated these choral arrangements. There are also some scholars that have debated that another musician, Danielle Amphitheatroff, was involved in this as well. And so it's kind of an orchestral and choral score. And there are these ah and ooh glissandos that they put a small mixed choir together to sort of create that. And they slide between dissonant intervals, which really sort of creates this very scary atonal choral
yeah.
effect, which was contemporaries at the time, such as Bernard Herrmann, who did the theremin in Day the Earth Stood Still, and even Stanley Kubrick incorporated those atonal choirs in 2001: A Space Odyssey with Italian composer Giorgi Ligeti. Some of his work is really almost an homage to the atonal choir work from Invaders from Mars.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have Mars Attacks, which I'm just saying Mars has always been kind of this very, let's talk about Mars in general as far as how it's been portrayed in cinema because,
Oh, yeah.
in the 50s, sci-fi Mars because it was red, like we said, the whole communism Cold War thing was definitely at its very height in the 50s and the
Now,
threat of
did
nuclear war and all of that. So,
of course, you're familiar with the Tim Burton Mars Attacks,
yeah.
but are you familiar with the Topps cards upon which it is loosely based?
Not really. No, I think I know of them, but I'm not very
Yeah.
familiar with them.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you of a certain age, we collected these Mars Attacks Topps cards in the 60s, and they were fabulous. Each one was a Martian atrocity heaped upon humanity, like burning human flesh, destroying a dog, saucers over Parliament, saucers over China, Attack of the Giant Insects, Beauty and the Beast, where he's like grabbing a girl. So I thought that Tim Burton had a great time with that source material, but I do find his movie to be a little mean-spirited in spots.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like the way she would move like this. His
yeah,
his muse, whatever that actress's name.
Lisa Marie.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, though, we're not talking about
No,
that.
I know, I
We're
know.
talking about Invaders
But
from
I'm just
Mars.
saying Mars has been, definitely in the 50s and 60s was like unknown, and it represented this sort of, horrifying situation,
Yeah.
and that, there
And,
could
and
be life there. So,
by the way, the music of Invaders from Mars, the atonal qualities and aspects of it inspired the next generation of composers, including Jerry Goldsmith, who used a lot of atonal work in Alien, Christopher Young, who did the score for Hellraiser. So, I mean, the original film's dreamlike structure kind of replaces realism with these surreal atonal auditory cues,
yeah,
which for 50s Hollywood sound design was unheard of. So it was
yeah,
really a pretty pioneering blend of orchestral dissonance and atonal choral sound design,
right.
which again was a precursor to movies like, as I said, 2001. Let's just do a little dive on the career of William Cameron Menzies.
Okay.
I know I've been raving a lot about him, and I know something about this guy's career. I mean, he was a film director, production designer, art director, and producer, but I'm kind of fascinated by him. He was sort of pioneered modern production design and introduced a cinematic visual language that was so distinctive that a generation of production designers, several generations after him, guys like Adam Stockhausen, Ken Adam, all sort of go back and borrow from Cameron Menzies. Guy was actually born in 1896. He was educated at Yale. He attended the Art Students League in New York, and he had a very strong foundation in draftsmanship, composition, visual storytelling. But he really, I think, treated every shot in his movies as a kind of a painted composition. As I said, I think he had a painterly style
Yes.
to the scenes. And I think that that's really what made his film Invaders from Mars, as well as his other films, look so.
He was one of the production designers on Gone with the Wind.
He was indeed. He did, I mean, some other famous films like Douglas Fairbanks' Thief of Baghdad. He did The Dove, The Tempest. And not only did he win the Oscar for Gone with the Wind, but he was the first to use the title in movies of production designer.
Wow.
Really kind of redefined visual storytelling. I think many directors of photography kind of studied his production
Impressive.
design.
I mean, he
Uh,
started in 1924, The Thief of Baghdad. I mean, that kind of stuff, yeah.
yeah, he goes back to the silent era,
Yeah.
No less than the famous producer David O. Selznick credited him for giving Going with the Wind its epic visual coherence.
Yes.
And also, Menzies was a pioneer in storyboarding entire films.
Ah,
Visually before shooting, which went on to become standard practice in Hollywood. These days, storyboards have sort of become animatics, which are rendered digitally.
right.
For decades, they were storyboards. It was really Cameron Menzies that pioneered the use of storyboarding in entire film.
Wow.
And then some of his
I wonder if he also influenced like Disney and things like that, as far as I'm sure he must have.
absolutely, absolutely. He had a very strong sense of geometric composition. There's a lot of bilateral symmetry, strong diagonal lines, vanishing points, perspective distortion, which creates emotional emphasis. His sets often reflected psychological states. Uh,
Right.
I mean, it's foreshadowed film noir, surrealism, and again, I think, as you said, it was shot quickly and on a very limited budget, but he was able to still make Invaders from Mars look like a pretty amazing film, even with those kinds of challenges.
Yeah.
And again, I think it really, the look of the film, it's a visual metaphor for Cold War fear and childhood paranoia.
Yeah.
So if you're a kid watching this movie like I was in the early 60s, it's really pretty terrifying. And its visual look definitely influenced War of the Worlds, which was actually later that year, the original
Right.
George Powell War of the Worlds, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which you and I discussed, even Close Encounters of the Third Kind owes some of its visual language to
Well,
Cameron.
Steven Spielberg, I read it also. I just in about Invaders from Mars. Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese credit this film as one of their childhood favorites. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I don't know, definitely the original. Again, I think it kind of faltered in the look of the alien drones, but if you kind of take them out of it, pretty well much the rest of the film is kind of a perfect 1950s study in paranoia and
yeah,
an allegory to putting that into science fiction.
right.
Very ahead of its time, very dystopian. He was the designer and art director on Things to Come from 1936, which is still considered by film historians a very visionary, way ahead of its time movie. Anyway, William Cameron Menzies died in March 1957 in Hollywood, California, but is really considered the founding father of modern production design. Matter of fact, Ridley Scott, Tim Burton, Guillermo del Toro also cite him as an inspiration, in addition
Ah,
to the people you mentioned. And
yep.
in 2017, the Art Directors Guild posthumously honored him with a Lifetime Achievement Award as one of
Pretty
cinema's
amazing.
visual pioneers.
Pretty amazing.
So I know we're just about out of time, but again, I just think that the film left such an impression on me as a youth, and I mean, obviously on Toby Hooper and Stan Winston, who did their best to do this homage to it. Any sort of parting thoughts about it and where it sort of fits in the milieu of 50s sci-fi, Kit?
I mean, like I said, knowing the pedigree now behind it, I didn't, you've taught me a lot about it, this podcast, because like I said, I watched it with sort of a not as an attuned eye as you describe it. And so then when you start describing it to me and the things that it accomplished, it's pretty amazing. And of course, the 1986 is just that's kind of cheesy and fun, but probably didn't need to be remade, but that's okay. But I think just the pedigree behind the original though is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this piece, is because I just want to give William Cameron Menzies his due. And for those of you that are sort of sci-fi completists, and many of you might be too young to have even seen this film, even in its reruns and rotations, try and find it because it's well worth watching two or three times. Again, if you sort of take the doofy looking alien drones out of the equation, I think the rest of the film will really resonate strongly with you.
Absolutely.
And I hope that our segment here will also give a sense of historic reference to that amazing film and honestly, generations of filmmakers that came afterwards that look rather reverentially upon the film.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Kid, it's always a pleasure
Thanks, Adam. This was a great one. I learned a lot.
exploring these things with you. You're going to be top lining our Invasion of the Body Snatchers segment, which is coming up shortly. And also, our viewers can look forward to our top 20 favorite aliens. We'll be
And
doing a
monsters.
countdown on that and our top 20 favorite monsters. So I look forward to us reconvening for those in the next month or so, Kit.
Take care, everybody.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Kit. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you guys again soon.
Bye.
Hey guys, I'm Adam Malin, joined by my illustrious partner Gary Berman, and this is Creation Entertainment Looks Back.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here. And what are we doing today? We're going to look back at some really old stuff.
Because we recently moved the Creation offices to our beautiful new corporate headquarters in downtown Glendale, and I came across a treasure trove of photos that I collect down through the years because we all know I squirrel stuff away. And I found all these great photos. I just thought we'd look at them. I'll surprise you with some of them.
Yeah. I already see the first
And
one.
get your reactions. So, without any further ado, here is proof that this is the longest running partnership in show business history,
It could almost be at this point.
which is a terrifying thought.
Really, it would be over 50, well over 50 years. 50 years.
Well, this photo is taken 67 years ago.
Well, yeah, but it's hard to believe we didn't have a business at that point yet.
Well, we did have a business at 8 years old. We started our first coin collecting and selling business at the age of 8.
That's true. That's pretty crazy, but yeah.
And then right around that time, we started going into the city with your dad, who was always so generous. As long as you were there at, what is it, 5:30 in the morning, or?
I think it was 6:15. But if we missed it, that was it. We didn't go. But I think our time is messed up. We weren't 8.
I think we actually started collecting coins at the age of 8. Yeah. No.
But we weren't going into Manhattan.
I know I was.
Well, you were.
At the age of 10.
I know,
yeah.
but
yeah.
not me.
Yeah, well, of course, because Sally Malin is always looking after the security of her son.
Yeah, right. Sending you on subways. But in those days, it was probably a bit safer.
It was a bit safer. Anyway, though, it's an amazing shot, and the memories of growing up in Fresh Meadows.
Yeah. Fresh Meadows was important to post-war, post-war. It became the community that veterans lived in. So it's still there.
Oh, I didn't realize it was a veterans community.
It was built for veterans.
I see.
Yeah, and the rent was pretty low back then.
Yeah.
So
I haven't been there in a while, but I hear it's completely transformed.
I didn't find that because my brother's still there, so I drive through. I didn't, to me it looked pretty much the same. But
incredible photo. All right, you might recognize this. This is.
I do recognize that by your dad.
The great Mo Malin. My dad was a commercial artist, and when Gary and I went to him and said, "Hey, we're going to run a comic convention," well, first of all, he had to validate. I think we've already told the story, but he had to validate the whole thing, and he did. He got us the space. We were going to do the show at the New Yorker Hotel, and so then we needed some graphic and art design for the show, and so of course my dad.
That actually, looking back, that actually is pretty good.
Yeah, just by hand. He just scratches it right out.
Yeah.
The name is funny.
The art con. It wasn't comic art. It was art.
Well, it was comic.
No, art, I know, but it was. But we didn't put comic.
It should have said comic art.
Yeah, I'm not so sure why we didn't.
I know, but just a kind of an amazing, look back at Dad doing that, and just as long as I'm talking about my dad, he got together with the great Wolfman Jack.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they did a bunch of TV's record sales on television.
Yeah, one of the first direct marketing on TV.
Yeah.
With music. Yeah, it was pretty
successful. You know that he also did stuff with Clive Davis?
No, I didn't know that.
My dad sold records with Clive Davis on TV, and he comes to me one day and he says, "Yeah, I'm working with this guy, Clive Davis." I said, "Yeah." He says, "I think that guy's really going places."
It's amazing that Clive Davis is still alive and the story's like 50 years old. That's good. That's our first comic book convention program booklet.
As well as the poster.
Yeah, that's a poster. That was Ken Smith, right?
The great Kenneth Smith. We commissioned him, and he did that in 2 color variants, if you recall.
Yeah. Well, we have the poster up in the reception area.
Yeah, and the first time we got that, I looked at it and I said, what is it? I couldn't figure out that it was a quarter shot of a devil's head.
Yeah, devil's head, yeah.
But
yeah, pretty talented. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Next year. That again was your dad did that?
No, he did not.
He didn't?
Nope.
Oh, I thought your dad. Who did that?
The great Kelly Frias.
Really?
Kelly Frias did that for us, and it was his slogan: "Up, lads and lassies. When convention's over, there'll be plenty of time enough to sleep."
All these years I thought your dad did that.
No.
How do you like that?
Kelly Frias.
Okay.
Kelly Frias. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, a science fiction pulp illustrator and
second maybe only to Frazetta? Or
well,
there's Boris Vallejo, right?
There were a few of them. Actually, the pulps predate Boris. These are more like guys like Hans Bach.
Right.
People like that.
Yeah.
So
who was the guy that there was a science fiction artist working, I think, with airbrush, and he sent us like stacks of paintings and we auctioned them off. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Space scenes.
We're not talking about the airbrush work of Frank Brunner.
No.
Talking about somebody else.
He was famous for like space scenes.
Yeah.
With planets.
Yeah, it wasn't Chesley Bonestell who was the most renowned of those guys, but he was good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't remember the name. All right, we'll figure it out. That's Steranko, right?
The great James Steranko.
And look at that lovely backdrop.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's typical of our backdrops from the time.
Back then, it was like pipe and drape, like half put up there.
But I mean, imagine when we invite Steranko as our first guest and he says, yeah, I'll come.
How good are you are recognizing the venue by the back? Like I could almost tell that's the 18th floor of the old Penton.
Well, you could tell that, but you would be wrong because that's the New Yorker Hotel.
And I am wrong. It is a New Yorker. See how proud I am?
But they all look pretty much the same.
Yeah, sometimes I can tell by the back.
Oh, no, I agree. You
Yeah.
definitely can.
Yeah.
But your memory is good. You do remember that
But
stuff.
I should know it's a New Yorker. Okay, what else?
The Statler Hilton, which you mentioned, is now gone. It's a big hole in the ground.
Yeah, it'll be something again.
It'll be
maybe.
something again.
That is Bill Gaines, creator of Mad Magazine and EC Comics. Right?
But yes, and what is he holding in his hands?
The Ten Commandments.
The Creation Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's right.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right. You know what? Those Lifetime Achievement Awards got like famous people to come that normally wouldn't come.
We should actually be
We should
thinking
do
of
that
that these
again.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like we got like Roger Corman, and he showed up and he's like, "Where's dinner?"
Well,
And I'm like, dinner's not part of this."
I mean, Bill Gaines, not only did we love him for Mad Magazine, but I mean, EC Comics are still
definitely.
solid the gold standard.
Yep.
For comic
Yep.
books.
Okay. Okay, I recognize him. That's Bernie Wrightson, right?
Bernie Wrightson, a member of the studio.
Right.
There were four of them: Bernie, Mike Kaluta, Jeff Jones, and Barry Windsor Smith.
Correct. Yeah.
And those guys used to come and bring gorgeous artwork to our shows.
Yeah, and they ended up being like legendary.
Set
now.
up at our shows, and now they're legendary. I mean, Bernie Wrightson's, the Swamp Thing was based around his work.
Yeah.
And Nursery Crimes and a number of other fantastic things. Just an incredible artist who passed away not too long ago.
Bernie passed away. I
Bernie
didn't know.
passed away.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very sweet guy.
Barry Windsor Smith.
Barry Windsor Smith, who did Conan in the comic books and
Yeah.
a bunch of other things.
You know, I don't. They were all maybe 10, 15 years older than us
Yeah.
at the time we were dealing with them when we
Yeah.
were like kids. I don't remember them being like super nice to us back then.
Well, we were little dweebs, basically.
I know,
Yeah.
and reasonably that they would make fun of us, maybe, but I don't remember them being particularly generous or nice.
I think that Bernie was definitely the most personable of them, and I thought that Jeff Jones was, pretty darn nice too. Barry is, also maybe a little bit more of an introvert, but I mean, he is a sensational
all the
artist.
work was great. Yeah.
And then they moved the studio up to Woodstock, and they were there
remember
for a
that,
few
yeah.
years too.
Yeah. Okay. This is okay.
Only
I
the
know.
person on the right is the person you should focus on.
Yeah, Vaughn Bode, right?
Vaughn Baudet.
But who are the other two?
Yeah, good question. Good luck trying to figure that out. I think the guy on the left worked for DC Comics, but I'm not sure who he was.
Yeah. Okay.
But Vaughn Baudet, as you know, who created Cheech Wizard and was one of the very
Yeah.
first underground cartoonists.
Yeah, I remember
Had
we worked with them a lot.
he was with us. He had a slide presentation
Yeah.
that he would do.
Back then, slide presentations were the latest innovation in
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah, like that time that Sid Ganis had a slideshow for the first Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I take the slideshow carousel from him and I accidentally turn it upside
And
down.
they all fall
And
out.
all the slides fall out.
Yeah, we
Ladies
had
and
a lot of
gentlemen,
calamity. Yeah, out of order scenes.
Yeah, here's this Star Wars slideshow that I screwed up.
Okay.
Okay.
Huh.
You might not know this gentleman, but
kinda-
I do.
I recognize the. Is that like Tom Fagan?
That
No.
is Tom Fagan.
I can't believe I got that
The
right.
great Tom Fagan. Well done. Do you
I
know
don't
the-
even know
the-
how I know
Do
that.
you know that incredible story about me going up to
yeah,
Rutland?
on the Rutland
Yeah,
parade.
for our
yeah.
viewers that don't know it, I drove up to Rutland for the Rutland Comic Parade. My car exploded. A kindly priest put me up at a farmhouse overnight, and the kindly priest turned out to be Tom Fagan. But
Was he a real priest?
He wasn't a priest, but he
Oh.
pretended to me that he
Yeah.
was a priest.
Great.
Anyway, the Rutland Comic Parade was very famous for
Yeah.
many, many, many years. Did they still do it up there?
I just read an article that it was mentioned in, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I imagine he's.
But
passed
I mean,
on.
in the
don't know.
'60s, if you're a comic book fan,
It was a big
in
deal.
the early
Yeah.
'70s, it was like a
Yeah, I do
huge,
remember that.
huge deal.
All right, so that's Stan Lee.
Stan the Man Lee with one of our fabulous creation graphic treatments behind it.
That was we used to do those on like foam core.
That's right.
Look how horrible that
Yeah,
is.
terrible. But how great it was having Stan Lee.
Yeah, a lot of times though, like all the time.
And that famous experience of mine with him down on 37th Street on the
Oh, you're paying him in your car?
he
In his
drove
car.
me down to his car, and I had to pay him in cash underneath the dashboard, pass the cash to him, which is fine. But no, he was wonderful. He was very generous to us as kids, and I wish that he were around now to see the release of Fantastic Four.
You know, I thought he did pretty good in seeing his stuff translated.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, you know, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he managed to insert himself into so many of those early Marvel films.
Yeah,
right?
I think they asked him. But
that was pretty great.
Yeah. All right. That is, it's perfect that it comes after. That is Jack Kirby, right?
The one and only Jack Kirby.
So how many years did you get to work with him?
Probably about 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, until he passed away. And Jack, of course, I wish he could be around now to see.
He's the one who missed it, right? Kind of.
He missed the whole thing, and quite frankly, he was, I think, more of the idea guy than Stan was.
Yeah, I know you always have felt that way. Did Jack Kirby do sketches for fans at our shows? I seem to remember that.
Yeah, and again, I was introduced to him through my mom, who taught at Forest Hills Russell Sage High
That's
School.
such a great story.
With his sister. So it's crazy. Serendipity.
All right.
And there he is.
Yeah.
There he is.
All right. So this was pretty good. I got all of these because I had seen this photo earlier. So John Byrne is on our left, and in the middle is George Perez, who unfortunately passed away not too long ago, and Terry Austin.
Terry Austin.
Who was mainly an inker, right?
Amazing inker, yeah.
It's crazy what you remember.
Perez and Byrne were incredible idea guys, art, pencilers.
Didn't Terry Austin work with John Byrne on X-Men?
Yeah, he absolutely was Byrne's inker and many of the things that he did.
And George was like, ended up with this like amazing, legendary career after we met him, right?
Yeah.
Considered one of the best?
Yeah, and I certainly think that Terry was considered one of the best inkers of his era, and both George and John had huge careers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was tough, but I did look at it and remember that was Frank Miller, right?
Unbelievable.
That's like you guys are so young there.
One of my idols, the great Frank Miller, who, I still think that Ronin was his greatest work. Other fans may feel it's The Dark Knight. But some of our more casual viewers might not even realize that the whole Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy was inspired by
him, yeah.
Frank Miller's Dark Knight.
Very cool.
He did a lot of amazing graphic work. Sin City, of course. He went on to be a filmmaker.
Right.
So, yeah, Frank.
So that would be in like late 70s. Yes, yeah. I was just going to say that.
Yeah. I'll give you.
Wait a minute. I think I may have it.
Can I give you a hint?
Yeah.
This person used rotoscoping.
Yeah, okay, I got it. I know, I had it. He's the one who did Fritz the Cat.
Yes, and also Wizards,
okay.
And also Lord of the Rings, which was actually
Lord of the Rings, yes,
amazing film.
All right,
using rotoscoping in place of traditional animation.
I know. Jeez. Well, I'm not going to remember the name during the show.
There's no harm. You know the guy. It's Ralph Bakshi.
Ralph Bakshi.
Yeah, no, you picked
Yeah,
it
we
out.
worked with him. I remember he was friendly with Phil Sewling, and Phil Sewling he let Phil do a voice in Fritz the Cat, which was weird for a public school teacher to be in a porno movie. Well, Fritz the Cat wasn't pornographic, was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
Fritz the Cat was based on Robert Crumb's.
No, I know, but it was the film actually pornographic?
Oh, I don't think I ever saw the film, but I've certainly read enough Fritz the Cat comic books to tell you they were filthy.
Okay.
Just like Robert Crumb, who, by the way, is a genius.
Yeah.
Crumb is a genius, but he had a filthy mind.
I'm doing pretty good on recognizing people.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's easy because it's us.
Yeah.
All right, so where was that taken?
I'm going to guess it was at
the Taft?
No, I'm going to say it was at the Commodore or the Americana.
Okay.
Costume, cosplay people.
Yeah.
Cosplay
they
people.
really have added to the show all these years. They definitely
I know.
have.
Right. And for people that don't know, we have the unofficial Guinness Book of World Records as the most costume competitions of any fan group.
Absolutely.
I would say that that's probably true. Yeah. The Master Auctioneer.
Let's skip that one.
Well, come on.
No, I had that on my door here.
You were auctioning off, actually out in Fresh
Oh,
Meadows.
this is, I tried to auction off an Action Comic #1, Opening bid $4,000. No one bid on it.
That's so stupid.
I know. Now it's worth $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they were just giving one of those away. One of the
Yamaha. Yeah, I was
yes.
just there. Yeah, you can win Action Comics #1, but you have to be pulled out of a drawing.
So
of like a
you
billion
literally
people.
had one in your hands, and
Yeah.
that's so crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, back then nobody thought that would be what.
What
it
were
is.
some of the greatest items that you've ever auctioned off?
Well, that the chakram. We see chakram.
Yeah, the
I think
original
we
shot.
did.
Yeah.
God, Leonard's ears from one of the
Leonard's
Star Trek
ears.
movies. Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger's jacket from
Schwarzenegger's
Terminator 2 with the
jacket.
bullet holes in it.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
You had a couple of other things from Terminator 2. You had like the chip that destroyed the world with Skynet.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we've had good stuff. Some signed scripts by some really famous people. But yeah, that had to be also the 70s.
Okay, this may
This
be
is great that you got this.
It may be flashing forward a little bit, but I just for those of our people that don't know, we had stores. We had 3 of them.
At the peak, we had 3, and like looking back, I was just thinking about this because I went back to visit my brother there.
Yeah.
Those comic stores were like really important to the community of kids growing up who were into this stuff, and we've heard a lot of stories about people who celebrated their fandom the first time by coming to the store, and I'm glad that we did retail, and that store particularly was like the biggest thing for fans, but it's a tough business. Like there was a hold up at gunpoint, and then someone threw a giant rock through the window. It's just like really a rough business, but I'm glad that we did it successfully. But I wouldn't do it again.
That was on a corner in Mineola, right?
Yeah, Jericho Turnpike.
Jericho Turnpike.
It wasn't. I mean, it was so cool, but it wasn't safe.
And it wasn't really financially successful.
I thought it was,
but it was. Well, I mean,
it was kind of operating as our office too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I thought we were doing okay.
And your dad was in there with us at one point, which was nice.
Right.
And Bob Schreck, whom we'll talk about a little
bit. Bob Schreck, yeah.
Yeah, but I certainly have fond memories of that. And of course, then we also had John Caglione and Doug Drexler, Dick Tracy prosthetic masks on display in there.
It was like a museum too. I've heard people say.
Yeah, Drexler shows up one day with the mask. Well, actually, it was John Caglione showed up one day with the mask and says, "Hey, you guys, we like your store. You want to display our masks in the store?"
Yeah, so fun.
So crazy.
That is the version of the store that was in the Glendale Galleria.
Yes.
And that was fun too. I heard that we were the most asked about store in the mall when people come in and ask at the information desk where the store is. That was fun. We were right near the Disney store.
I had heard there was actually Orange Julius, but other than that,
no, we were there.
Yeah, that was that a pop-up store?
We did it for the first time during the holiday, and we had to give the building 10% of our sales. And then it went so well that we stayed on. But again, it was just like not the best business. We're in there, and like Keith was there, this huge guy who was like no one would want to get into a fight with. And I'm like, where's the Captain Picard jacket that was there 5 minutes ago? Like people would walk in, and they were so good at shoplifting, they would walk out with a $400 jacket, and we wouldn't even notice it. I know. All right, that's easy. That looks like a PR shot of Isaac Asimov.
We have 3 or 4 photos of the great Dr. Isaac Asimov, who was a fixture at our shows for many years until he passed away.
Yeah, he just came because he enjoyed being with the fans.
And he would get up there on his pulpit and he would deliver these fantastic...
Yeah, the speeches, right?
Amazing, talking about the future. If only he could have seen Foundation today, which is such a great show.
Well, AI, right? Wasn't he kind of way before his time?
That, the whole law of robotics and iRobot. Yeah. So Isaac was, in a class by himself.
There's another one.
Yep. He had a thing for my mom.
Oh, yeah. So I was trying to remember this. I don't think we ever had Frank Herbert as a guest, but maybe we did.
We did not.
Okay,
this was supposed to trip you up.
Yeah, I don't remember this.
This was from the World Science Fiction Convention.
Oh, okay. So you went to another convention?
Yeah, he was on. I actually went to another convention. And so I went there, and I get there to his segment, and I missed it.
Oh.
It's done. The room is empty, except for this one old guy sitting up in the front of the room.
Oh, and it was.
So I go up to this old guy and I say, "Shit, I missed Frank Herbert's presentation." He says, "Well, I'm still here."
Oh boy!
And it was Frank Herbert
Wow.
sitting alone in the front of the room.
Why?
No security, nothing. Just Frank Herbert sitting up in the front of the room. I don't know why he was there. And then after I pulled my jaw off the floor, I got his autograph and I told him, "Oh, I love you, Dune," yada, yada, yada. This is, I think, just after. Did I get my timing
Well,
right?
you got
After
the date there.
David Lynch Dune was what, 83 maybe? 80. Well,
Ah.
this was before Dune then, if it was, depending upon when that was. But it was, you know.
Oh, okay, so I was, yeah, all right. That did trip
And,
me up
I
a little
mean,
bit. I knew
you
we
know,
didn't have him as
the
a
Denis
guest.
Villeneuve Dune movies are the bomb. I mean, Herbert's, incredible fiction still resonates even today.
Okay, that is Ray Harryhausen.
The great Ray Harryhausen, who came to a couple of our shows
Couple, yeah.
and brought
His stuff. Yeah.
suitcases of his amazing armatures. Like some of the things I see there are things, like the Gorgon and Guanji and things from Jason and the Argonauts. I mean,
Yeah, and he would just like pull them out of the suitcase, right?
he absolutely influenced generations of filmmakers, special effects people. He is maybe not the father of stop motion animation, but he was the protege of Willis O'Brien, and therefore,
Yeah.
really, I consider him really sort of the grand guy of stop motion.
Okay. My eyes are not good enough to see who that is.
Maybe this will help.
Ah, yes, it does. Okay, so I know that's Doug Murray on the right. That's not going to help us much. That is Rick Baker.
A young Rick Baker who
Very
had just done The Incredible Melting Man
Yeah,
before
yeah.
his career really exploded.
Yeah, Academy Award winner.
I mean, the stuff that he did for Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes and Mighty Joe Young.
It seems like they were all like young fans who were able to use their talent to get into the business.
Yeah.
And the conventions had a lot to do with it, I think.
It certainly helped.
Yeah,
Um,
so talented.
I don't know if you knew this, maybe you did. When we were looking before we moved to 217 Kenwood, and I was out going and looking at spaces for offices,
Mm-hmm.
our guy Mark, who's our realtor in
Mark
Glendale for
Miller,
1,000 years, says, I'm going to take you to a place, it's a little beaten up, but you might like it. So he takes us to this place. I walk in the door, and there's a giant case with Mighty Joe Young's head in it.
Like young.
The redo that
Yeah,
Rick Baker
yeah.
did with
Oh,
Charlize
okay, so you was in
Theron.
Rick Baker's office?
Immediately I knew it. This was Rick Baker's studio that he was just in the process of vacating.
Oh, well, we didn't move there.
No,
so-
because the place was a shambles. It looked like he had ripped holes out of the walls and stuff. It was crazy. I don't know what
Oh.
they were doing in there. But one of the geniuses. And then, of course, yet another great Adam Malin Broglio, where I had picked him up at JFK
Yeah,
Airport,
yeah.
and my car got a flat tire. So Rick and I have to climb over the Van Wyck Expressway,
Yeah, yeah.
the crash barrier, with his suitcase filled with his props.
He was a good sport about it.
He was
But
a
he was
good
young. He
sportsman.
was like in his 20s.
Yeah, I know. That's yet another thing I can never live down.
Okay, I know who this is. Rob Bottin. Correct?
Rob Bottin, who had a fairly brief moment where he was the hottest
guy.
hottest
Wasn't it like with werewolves or something?
well, The Thing, John Carpenter's
John
The Thing,
Carpenter, right,
1982
right.
was revolutionary. What
Right.
he did with that, so incredible.
So
Scared the hell out
his
of
career was just like a lightning in a bottle kind
me.
of thing?
Well, I mean, it was maybe 3 or 4 years, and he was very much in demand, and then he kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to him,
Okay.
but an amazing
I
talent,
remember him being part of that.
nice guy,
Yeah.
and just The Thing would just blew my mind. Okay, sorry. This is not meant to look at me in my stupid silver lame jumpsuit, which was inspired by Lost in Space, by the way, but rather to look at the two guys that are sitting at that table, the second from the right and the far right. You have to look.
Well,
kinda close.
I know who they are. You got Tom Savini and the guy who produced Maniac.
He starred in Maniac.
Oh, okay. I knew he was involved with Maniac.
Yeah,
Because Savini did
Great
the special
job.
effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
famous character actor.
Well, not that famous.
Well, he was pretty renowned.
Okay, what's his name?
Joe Spinell.
Joe Spinell. Yeah, okay.
Savini brought him to one of our
Yeah.
shows. I believe this predates.
Maniac.
No, I think it predates the Fangoria shows.
No, we went to work with Savini before the Fangoria
I'm
show.
not sure about that.
No, we went to. Well, maybe at a
Yeah,
it could be
because
Creation Thanksgiving.
the stupid jumpsuit is the trick.
I know that would be Creation.
That would be
Thanksgiving.
Creation.
Who were the other
yeah.
two people on the left
I
side?
don't recognize them.
Well, they were famous back then.
I guess. But anyway, Savini, of course, he and George Romero pretty much started the whole zombie thing.
Yeah.
And one of the great prosthetic.
When's the last time you spoke to Savini?
A few months ago.
Really?
He and I got text.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and he turns up in things from time to time.
Yeah.
Does stuff for Robert Rodriguez,
very good.
Quentin Tarantino.
I remember he was
occasionally.
always very nice and supportive.
And Joe Spinell, was a pussycat, even though he was a horrible murderer and maniac.
Okay, that's Bill Mooney, who I was thinking we should have done like a Lost in Space reunion at Vegas this year, because there's still a few people, obviously Billy, but one of the two sisters are alive, right?
Yeah, the one closest to my heart, who we have some photos
Yeah.
of, is Jonathan. But and she, he's gone, and June is gone. Guy Williams is gone.
Yeah, but
Mark Goddard is still alive, though.
right. Well, okay. I don't know. I thought it would be good because the original series and Lost in Space kind of the same
It
era.
would be very nice. And actually, the redo of Lost in Space I thought was fantastic. The one on Netflix,
Yeah.
absolutely sensational. I even liked the movie that New Line did with Gary Oldman.
I remember that.
That was
yeah.
pretty darn good too. Yeah.
Billy was a big. There's Jonathan Harris.
There he is, my beloved Jonathan.
I remember him saying that, well, Leonard Nimoy isn't going to sit here and do autographs this long like I am, because he felt he was his contemporary. They were, right?
Well, Jonathan was a noted character actor in his day. He was a lovely guy.
But not in the same category as Leonard Nimoy.
No, probably not.
Career-wise, no.
He was really the
I
heart,
know, very nice.
the heart and soul of Lost in Space, I think.
And I remember him being really nice, too.
He used to send me letters from his cruises.
Yeah, very nice.
I'd get letters from him every few months.
That is Roger Corman, right?
Yeah, Roger came to quite a few of our shows.
Yeah.
Roger
And
came
another
to
look.
promote Battle Beyond the Stars, which
With-
was his big science fiction bid,
Yeah, to enter into bigger budgets.
with a young up-and-coming special effects guy that was on his team named James Cameron.
James Cameron and Richard Thomas came to the convention, too.
Richard Thomas also, right?
That was pretty weird.
I think
John Boyd,
Sybil Danning might have been in that too.
Yeah, Sybil Danning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Corman, we all just passed away recently, sadly, but everybody in Hollywood admires Corman. He was like,
King of B movies, right?
king of the B movies.
Very nice. Okay, that's an interesting one. Anthony Perkins from Psycho, and that was at a Creation show. Yeah.
Or it could have been at a Fangoria show.
I don't think so.
What was he in to promote? The redo of Psycho? I think it was the remake of Psycho.
I think it was just because he was legendary at that point from Psycho.
Very nice man. Yeah.
That was a pretty good booking. Yeah.
The great Anthony Perkins. Why, Grasshopper? You don't recognize him?
You know what? It's just because I can't see that well. Maybe from here. Okay, that's from Kung Fu, right?
Yes, and also from Kill Bill.
And also Horrible Death, right?
That's David Carradine.
David Carradine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you remember which show of ours he was at?
That would William Shatner's charity horse show.
Yeah, you got it. He wasn't actually
No,
at a
I know.
creation
I know,
show.
I
He
could
was
tell
at
by
one of
it,
the Hollywood charity horse shows that we co-produced with Bill Shatner.
Yeah.
And we had a good run with him, 25
We did,
years
yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
And we still support it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like God forbid at the age of 94, Bill could just close the book on that, but he's just going to keep doing it.
It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, this is actually a double photo that somehow got married into one photo, but there's two different things here for you to look at. First on the left.
That is Richard Hatch, right?
Richard Hatch
From
facing an
Battlestar.
old school Cylon
Yeah.
and the robot dog
Right.
from one of our costume competitions.
Okay, and then on the right, I'm gonna say that's Sandel Bergman.
Sandal Bergman.
I got
is
it?
correct. Yes.
Wow.
Statuesque, gorgeous Sandal Bergman from.
So when Aaron moved here, he got a condo in Burbank.
Yeah.
His neighbor was her.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well.
Only in Hollywood.
in the first Conan movie
Yeah, I
with
remember.
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also in All That Jazz and that notorious
That's
dance scene.
right. Yeah.
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 Lovely lady.
That is Dawn Wells from Gilligan's Island, noted actress and pot dealer.
And she's the one that I think fans, of the two, her and
Tina Louise.
Tina Louise, I think the fans preferred Marianne, the character of
Yeah,
Marianne. I
it
think
was
so.
all pretty iconic.
Yeah, that actually would have been a great thing to do a thing with the Gilligan's cast.
We actually worked with Bob Denver
We did.
and her. I think that's the only two from the show we
I
actually
think
had.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. That is Noelle Neal, who played Lois Lane on the George Reeves Superman TV show. She's one of our favorite guests.
Replacing Phyllis Coates.
Right, because Adam and I watched the show all the time as kids. And she was great too, a great guest.
Sensational.
She came in like I guess a redo of the costume she wore on the show all the time. A lot
Yeah.
of fun. And then you also, Adam, you worked with the guy who played Jimmy Olsen as well.
Jack Larson.
I don't know if you have a photo of that.
No, but here's
There's
another
that
photo.
costume.
Yeah. She was a doll.
Very nice.
Absolutely loved her. Noelle Neal.
All right, so that's Patrick McNee, star of the Avengers, who didn't really appear at the convention. He just walked on stage to say hello because
Yeah.
he was like good friends with Sharon Delaney.
But he was promoting his book at the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he was pretty nice, right?
Oh yeah.
Good
And
guy.
of course, I mean the Avengers and the amazing Diana Rigg,
Yeah.
Mrs. Peel,
Yeah.
whom we never had as a guest, but I would have
No.
loved to.
Yeah.
She was pretty awesome in Game of Thrones 1,000 years later.
Yeah. Very good. I didn't remember until I was kind of got an advanced look at this that Jamie Lee Curtis actually appeared with us. So am I right?
Yeah, she sure did.
I don't remember that.
I believe it was at a Fangoria
It
show.
would have had to have
Yeah,
been.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, great lady.
Is that another Academy Award nominee or winner that we've had at our convention? There have been a lot of them.
Yeah, she had an incredible career. Just
Yeah, still
amazing.
working, too.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, that is Carolyn Monroe, who was a James Bond girl, and she did our conventions. And
Yeah,
she was
she-
also in Sinbad or something.
Yeah, she
Golden
was.
Voyage of Sinbad.
Yeah, and she was also in a couple of grade B science fiction
Yeah.
movies, and did some work with her husband at the time, Judd.
Right.
And she was an absolute angel. She used to really, really classy lady, knew how to treat us. We were young boys, and just
Yeah, I mean, she
really-
came to visit us when we had our little tiny office on 7th Avenue and 33rd in Manhattan.
Yeah,
And she was like a Bond girl. So we went out
That's
to
so
like
amazing.
get lunch, and
Yeah.
like everyone did double take. She was that gorgeous.
yeah,
And really sweet.
so nice.
Yeah. Well, that's Adam West. Wasn't that great for us to work with? I don't think.
Yeah,
right,
that
Adam?
was unfortunate. We don't really have to belabor it. but
Why not?
We didn't have a good experience with him professionally, but I certainly love Batman and all the incredible characters. Being on Batman in the '60s was like
The
a
fame.
huge thing to be an actor, right?
Yeah, but I mean, out of all the folks we grew up watching as kids and loving, most of the interactions were you come all off saying, "Oh, well, this was pretty favorable."
Yeah.
But this is one of the cases where it wasn't.
No, we also, I don't have a photo of him, got to work with Burt Ward, and that was fun. I thought Burt was pretty nice. And we also got to work with this guy.
Yeah, so Frank Gorshin, I remember that was the Statler building, right? That, do
I
remember
think he
him.
may have also been in one of our Star Trek shows.
Yeah, I think that's why we did book him. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
because
great.
he was in that. He was that character with the one side is black and one side is white.
Yeah, and that's an amazing episode. Yeah,
Pretty
I'm glad that we had him.
incredible actor.
He did. I remember him doing impressions on stage, which of course is what he was most famous for.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is the day where we signed our contract to run the official Starlight conventions, and I think
And,
the Fango Weekend of Horrors kind of branched off of that.
Right.
And that's Bob Schreck on the left.
So some fans might know Bob. He went on to work for DC Comics for many years and also for Dark Horse.
Yeah.
And,
Wasn't he the editor of Dark Knight? Wasn't he?
I don't know.
I think
I
he
don't know,
was.
but
yeah.
I still, keep in touch with Bob, and he's doing
Good.
well.
And then there's Carrie O'Quinn, who was
Carrie
one of the
O'Quinn.
publishers,
That's
co-publishers.
right. Norman Jacobs not in this photo, but actually after Carrie left the company, we continued to do events with Norman for several years afterwards.
I don't remember that
Yeah.
they were in a partnership.
Carrie
at the end.
left. Carrie left.
Really?
Yeah, to pursue his writing career.
Oh, okay.
And Norman stayed on, and we continued to work with Norman, and quite well actually. We in the later years, we really got on well with Norman. He really started to understand a lot about what we do, and he was good. He was a great producing partner.
Yeah. That
And
was
of course,
nice
I
achievement.
don't have a photo of him, but Tony Timpone, who was sort of the figurehead of Fangoria magazine and the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors conventions that we did, it was an absolute gem.
Yeah.
Incredible to work with. We had a 25-year working experience
we
with
sure
Tony
did.
that I treasure very much. I really loved that guy, and he was amazing, and he used to bring in incredible talent to our shows.
Look what happened to all of them. They're all running Hollywood now.
Yeah. Okay, this is really hard to read, but this is the notes for Vincent Price's appearance at a
his
Fangoria
rider.
show.
That
Yeah.
was like one of the best highlights ever, having Vincent Price as a guest. But Joe Dante interviewed.
Yeah, imagine getting Joe Dante to interview Vincent Price. I mean, it's a
we
dream
really
come true.
did a lot of cool stuff.
So incredible. And
Yeah.
Dante jumped at the chance when we told him.
well, yeah,
He said, Vincent Price, I'm there.
yeah. Come on.
So it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was definitely.
Yeah, Vincent passed away not too long after that, sadly. Yeah. One of the greats, Vincent Price. Yeah.
Well, of course, Elvira. Yeah, she was always great to have.
Yeah.
I think she's doing appearances now, but not as the character.
Yeah. Cassandra, great lady, Cassandra Peterson. And do you happen to recognize the character to the left of her?
I'm gonna guess. Is that like? I'm not good at
That's
this.
okay.
Skeksis or something.
Very good.
I got it.
You got it.
I don't know where I know
That's
this
a
stuff.
Skeksis from Dark Crystal.
I got it. I
And
can't
that
believe
was
it.
a costume contest winner, which is why they're in that photo with Cassandra. I believe she actually, Elvira, judged that competition.
Very possibly, but
Yeah.
the fact that I got it and Elvira was no help at all.
Yeah, no, she.
Has nothing to do
That's a
with it.
great piece of costume work. Of course,
Yeah.
Brian Henson did a Dark Crystal reboot
Right.
recently, I think
Yeah.
on Amazon or Netflix, which wasn't really financially successful, but I thought
Artistically, it was good.
creatively it was well done. Yeah.
Okay, that's a publicity shot, but that's Tom Baker, who we worked with, I think maybe a couple of times, but definitely in Chicago. That's Chicago, which was the first appearance that was like sold out, and we added another show, and that sold out.
Okay,
And that's about
so
Shrek.
we had 3 weeks. We knew that we had Tom Baker.
It was 3 weeks.
3 weeks
Okay.
before the show, and this is before the internet,
Before
before
the internet.
social platforms, before all of it. 6,000 people sold out in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, if you remember back then, Doctor Who was on PBS stations, and you couldn't advertise on them, but you could work a deal where you would give free tickets out to the PBS station, and they would let you go on air to pitch the convention.
We would literally go to the PBS
Yeah,
stations.
I went to several.
Yeah,
I remember going to one with John Nathan Turner.
yeah.
And the stations were pretty generous to give us the time, and then bam, you'd make the announcement, and Ticketron would go crazy. Ticketron in those days.
And we had a brief and fun flirtation with Doctor Who fandom. Did
Yeah,
a few of those shows, and I am just chomping at the bit to go and do another one in the modern era. So I'm still hoping we're going to do a Doctor Who convention one of these days.
I hope so. That was in the '80s. We ran a lot of them.
This is 40 years ago, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Well, Tom Baker's still alive. Jay Ward, that is not from a convention.
No, but when we moved out to California, which was 1990, late 91, early 92,
Right.
one of the things that drove me out, one of the things that drove us out to LA was all the Hollywood personalities that were
Yeah.
out here. And Jay Ward had a store
The
that
store,
some people
yeah.
might remember
I
on
do
Sunset
remember, yeah.
Boulevard with a giant bullwinkle
Yeah.
standing outside the store. So in the couple of years before we came here, I came out to look at office space and look
Mhm.
at possible places to live. And I got to meet Jay Ward just before he passed away. It was unbelievable. I go into his store. He's not there. There's a woman at the counter, which turned out to be his wife.
Mrs. Ward.
And I start saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe I missed Jay. He's supposed to be here." And she says, "You really want to meet Jay?" And I said, "Oh God, it would be the greatest thing in the world." So she yells to the back, Jay!
Get
And
out
he
here.
comes out from the back room, Jay Ward.
That's pretty funny.
And there he was. Yeah.
Very nice story. Yeah, yeah. This is not someone that was one of my favorites either, but I know we work with David a lot.
We
David
worked
Prowse,
with
who
David
played
quite a
Darth
bit.
Vader.
Yeah, in the initial Star Wars surge.
Yeah, and he trained Christopher Reeve
Yeah.
to play Superman. I do
Yeah.
remember that.
And we don't have any photos from it, but we did do that 10th anniversary Star Trek meets Star Wars, which was the unofficial Star Wars 10th anniversary event.
Yeah, well, that was just a Star Wars anniversary event.
But we brought Gene
Yeah,
Roddenberry on stage with George Lucas, which
Right.
was pretty evolutionary. And
Yeah, that was
amazing.
the only time they met.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This will be very difficult, but it is from our James Bond convention. And
One of two. We
one
did
was
two.
in New York and one was in LA.
This is the LA one.
I know that the two women on the left were Bond girls, I think.
Yeah.
And then the gentleman, could that, it's not the one that George Lazenby. Maybe it is.
It is George Lazenby.
And then I assume the
Yeah.
one on the right is another Bond girl.
Yeah.
But I'm going to guess that. I was going to try to guess the name of it. Gloria Hendry or something like that is the name of one of the women, I think.
Well, inquiring fans, find out and let us know.
No, I think I'm right.
Yeah, it was great meeting George, and we did 2 shows for Dan Jack for the people that own
Yeah, right,
Bond. We
right.
did the one in LA, and then we did one in New York at the Hudson Theater
Right.
with Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan.
And
That
that was
was.
for the opening of Goldeneye, which was amazing. This was a legit Broadway theater that
Yeah.
we did this, and it was pretty unbelievable.
And then we also showed Goldfinger a what do they call those? Re-edited? Not re-edited. An improved version of Goldfinger,
Yeah.
cleaned up.
Yeah.
At the Directors Guild.
So
That was fun.
I worked with Pierce Brosnan, and then 30 years later, my son worked with him on The Sun, which was a show that Brosnan
Yeah,
filmed.
right.
My son was actually a production associate on that show.
Very nice.
And then, I mean,
We had the Goldfinger car.
the Aston
The
Martin
Aston
DB5.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean,
And there's some costumes back
That's so iconic. We also had that Lotus that Roger Moore drove in that also goes underwater.
there. Oh, we did? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That might have been New York. I only
Yeah.
went to the LA one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quantum Leap.
Right. So I think we had just moved here and we ran the first Quantum Leap show around that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Universal Studios volunteered to build the stage, which I think was one of the only times the studio actually built one of our stages. And it was like really impressive.
Yeah.
There was like an entrance and an exit, and it was like well built up.
This is the blueprint for it.
Yeah, and I remember that the show was pretty successful, and we had Don Belisario come, right? The guy who created it?
Yeah,
or-
we actually worked with Don Belisario twice.
couple of times.
Yeah, and Don actually and Deborah Pratt, his wife
Debbie
at the
Pratt,
time,
yeah.
worked with us on those shows. They were really great. We had a great time, and this is where we met Scott Bakula, who we went on to work with, of course, on Enterprise, and who is, when we can get him, because he has such a busy career, an incredible guest to have at the Vegas show.
We'd love to have him next year, maybe.
I'm hoping that's going to be the 30th anniversary of Enterprise, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that went fast.
Yeah, sure did. And that was on the back of the Quantum Leap schedule. I think it's got our shows that year.
Yeah,
Which
we
is-
were pretty busy.
Yeah, I mean, we would run 3-4 shows in a weekend. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
On to the Star Trek era.
Oh, okay. Well, obviously, Gene Roddenberry. We've talked about him a number of times over the past programs. Yeah.
Our great bird of the galaxy.
So here we have one of my favorite guests of all time, DeForest Kelly and his wife Carolyn.
Yeah.
So you actually got to know them pretty well, right? Personally, Adam.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They were
people.
wonderful. They lived in Sherman Oaks.
Yeah.
Greenleaf. And had a nice home, and we used to, go out to the shows and just have a wonderful, wonderful time. And DeForest, of course, let us print that copy of his poem, Big Bird's Dream.
I just remember he, because we were like so young, and he was a veteran of show business, and he, just like really supportive of what we were doing, and he didn't have to be.
Now, he was wonderful.
Complimentary.
I was there that day when he got a star on the Hollywood
Yeah.
Walk of Fame,
Yeah.
which was well deserved.
Absolutely. super young Walter Koenig, right?
Yeah, who has the distinction of being the longest running creation Star Trek
Yes,
celebrity.
yeah.
1979, so that would make it 46 years.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have Bill DeForest and
Yep.
Leonard Nimoy
Yep.
with you, but
Do you know what this is for?
I know we had him on stage a bunch of times. So this is for a specific reason.
Yeah, this is for DeForest Kelly's Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, okay. The nighttime show. Was it a nighttime
Well,
show?
I mean, I don't remember when it was, but I know we did present it with the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I'll never forget what he said to everybody. He thanked everybody who loved them, and he said, "And I love you all more than you say you love me."
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Mark Leonard. Star Trek was so popular back then when we were running so many shows that you could have a convention starring Mark Leonard on Saturday and Mark Leonard on Sunday and have 1,000 people a day.
And of course, he was kind of a buddy with Walter Koenig.
And they did a couple of stage shows together.
The Boys of Autumn.
And that was the first time one of the first times where some of the conventions guests actually did something, beyond signing autographs and talking.
We had to rent this big rickshaw that the two of them came out on stage in, which was a really funny thing.
I like the idea that they were trying to do something good for the audience.
They sure were.
Beyond just appearing.
Oh, well, they're both very creative guys, Walter, of course, is a writer. I don't think Walter ever felt like he realized his career in the way that he had wanted to.
Oh, he's still around. Okay, this was cool because I think it was the most captains we ever had on stage together at one time.
Yeah, 4 captains.
Right. So I don't know if we'll ever be able to top that.
No, it'll be tough.
Yeah, it would be very tough now.
And this was also at a time when captains were, I think, maybe even more iconic than they are now.
Definitely.
But that was an amazing moment.
Yeah, it sure was.
And they were all great.
Yeah.
I do miss Avery. He hasn't been on our stages in a few years. Incredible talent. He did a jazz performance for us that was unbelievable.
We're not giving up hope.
No, we're still hoping we'll
We're
get
60th
back.
anniversary, maybe that'll entice some
We'll
people.
see.
Okay. This was, I think, a screening of something, right?
Star Trek 4.
And you got it signed.
Voyage Home.
But it looks like a lot of production people, but I
Yeah.
can't really see.
I think Grace
I see
Lee
Mark
Whitney,
Lenny on
Major
Lenny
was
on
in there.
Major,
Grace Lee Whitney. This was at the Paramount Theater on the Paramount
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
That theater they have there is really nice.
Gorgeous. Okay. So what do we have here?
We have a schedule of
This is for the shrine.
The shrine, yeah.
Yeah.
Where everyone. This was the last. I think the second to last appearance of the entire cast. I think they did it in Huntsville, Alabama, too, with us after.
This is from Huntsville.
No, this is
Oh,
from
this is
the shrine.
Yeah.
But they all appeared one more time for us with Paramount in Huntsville.
Yeah, and I mean that whole shrine thing was an incredible experience.
I know exactly what this is. Okay, so that's Nicholas Meyer, director writer, right? And he loved those the blanket, right? That he kind of created, I suppose, maybe. So he wanted us to do it as a merchandise,
Right.
and we did, and it was great.
Yeah, Nick was one of the best directors.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, I guess, wrote or co-wrote the 6th film, which
That's
is
right.
pretty amazing too.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
good. That is us from
Well, it's just a shot of us in front of that beautiful stage set that we had.
for many years.
This might have been
50th anniversary.
Well,
No?
it could have been. I'm not sure if this is at the Rio. It could have been at the Hilton. I'm
The
not
Hilton,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know why that's in there, but
Well, it's famous Gary Berman cartoon.
all right.
Yeah, which you would leave these scribbles around, and I would find them, and I'd save them because I thought
Nervous
they were cool.
energy.
Yeah.
That was our visit to the Drew Carey show when we did our Drew Carey action figures. Which, by the way, our Drew Carey doll was an award winner. The worst representation of a celebrity. Because
Said who?
Toy magazine, some official toy magazine, because the doll was way too thin compared to Drew Carey. Of course, Drew Carey wanted us to make it
It's
that
funny.
thing. Little side note.
Funny.
That was great though, being on the set. That was like a big hit. And then we also did the Saturday Night Live dolls, which were a lot of fun.
Did they ever actually come out?
Yeah, they were sold at Toys R Us and KB Toys. All these places now out of
I
business.
remember that the original models were worth thousands.
There was these
cost a lot of money to
to
make
make
the
them.
prototypes.
But that was cool that we got to do that.
Yeah.
I was like really fascinated when I first saw this picture, trying to remember. It's from that's Dean Devil in the middle, and Hank Azaria,
Yep.
and
Harry Shearer.
Harry Shearer. So I know those two from The Simpsons, but what did they do with Dean Devil? Was it that eight-legged freaks?
I think it might. This would either have been Eight-Legged Freaks or Godzilla. Yeah, one of those two films.
I think we have another photo which points out what it's from, right? Yeah,
well,
this is it.
Yeah, but
Are they?
yeah, you're right. He's dressed in the same thing, so that we're going to say Eight-Legged Freaks.
Because I see Rick Overton there.
Rick Overton's there. David
Arquette. David Arquette,
yeah.
right?
And Dean.
And Dean, right?
Yep.
Okay. I like that movie.
And we had a great time with Dean doing the Electric Entertainment
Yeah,
event.
that was fun.
Recently. Yeah.
Okay, this publicity shot from Alien Nation. We ran a bunch of conventions for that. And that was like a great show. And
where we met Gary Graham originally.
Gary Graham passed on, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Went on to be in Star Trek and became a fixture at our shows for many years.
Yeah.
We ran a couple of these shows.
Yeah, I liked that program a lot.
Yeah,
Who was the show creator of that?
Ken Johnson.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had Ken Johnson as a guest. This is like really cool that we were able to work with Roddy McDowall.
Yeah.
And I mean, definitely Hollywood legend. So that was fun.
Well, you and I know this story, but most of the people that watch the show don't know that when Planet of the Apes, the original film, came out, I went to see it at the movie theater and showed up at the end of the film. You were walking out.
Right, and you were walking
I was walking in. I guess you walked out before the very end of it, because when I walked in, the first thing I saw was the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, I probably got dragged out by a parent saying it's over. And then you came in and ruined the movie because you saw the ending first.
I saw the ending first.
Yeah,
it
really
was funny though that we came.
What a great picture!
Passing ships.
Charlton Heston was like a big deal back then.
Doug Murray had quite a few items from that film.
I think he still does.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, so this is from the X-Files conventions that we did, and Charles Nelson Riley did an episode, and he was a guest at the convention. I remember him being really, really funny on stage, which makes a lot of sense, but really one of our better guests.
Yeah, I love the guy, and of course he was a fixture on the game shows.
Yeah.
Really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice that we got to work with him.
I think this might be the last one we've got in this group.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah, Jeffrey Tambor. I didn't know that we worked with him.
Max Headroom.
Yeah, but I didn't realize he was part of that.
Yeah.
And he went on to become even like really famous.
Very famous.
But then got in some trouble, I guess. But whatever.
Yeah. But just
that's it?
That is, I think that's it.
No, that's not it. Wait a minute. I was in this photo.
Well, we've cropped you out.
I see that.
No.
What happened to me?
There was probably another photo with the three of us.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was great because Tim Conway came to our convention because I think his granddaughter was a fan
of Supernatural.
Yeah. And his stepdaughter ran his career for many years, so she set it up. Anyway, yeah, so we got to meet Tim Conway, and we were able to introduce Tim Conway to Jaron and Jensen, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And he was like really nice and funny. It's like we met a lot of great people in our career.
Yeah.
People that we loved as kids. It's been fun.
Yeah, I'm going to try and find another treasure trove of these, and then we'll put them up when the time is right.
You got it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
okay.
Adam.
Thanks, buddy. That's right. Thanks, guys.
I'm out of here.
Was I right? I mean, what an incredible legacy these two have given us. Plus, I was actually very surprised by how much influence Menzies did have on sci-fi and special effects. Really, really fascinating stuff. as our last show of 2025, we have Trek to Chicago, November 22nd and 23rd at the Westin O'Hare Hotel. Definitely, if you're in the area, check it out. We have William Shatner, Jerry Ryan, really good set of talent coming to the show. And then in 2026, guys, we're going to be back on the road with two supernatural events in January. One in Las Vegas, January 16th through the 18th, and then one in Norfolk, Virginia, the 30th through February 1st. So definitely check those out. Go to Creation ENT for all your information. Like, subscribe. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.